The darkness of space around Earth suddenly filled with light. Thousands of massive ships appeared from nowhere, their metal hulls gleaming under the distant sun. The alien fleet stretched across the solar system like a deadly cloud of steel and fire. Admiral Kai Jun stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the small blue planet through the main screen. His three eyes focused on the world below while his four arms worked the control panels. The Valdari Empire had sent him here with 10,000 warships to add another world to their collection. Earth would be conquest number 101. "Admiral, we are detecting primitive signals from the planet," reported his communications officer. "They use basic electromagnetic waves for communication. Very simple technology." Kai Jun smiled with his sharp teeth. "Perfect. Another easy victory for the Empire. Scan their defenses and tell me what we face." The bridge crew worked quickly, their alien fingers dancing over strange controls. The main screen showed Earth growing larger as they moved closer. The planet looked peaceful, with white clouds swirling over blue oceans and brown continents. On Earth, Commander Park Hyun was drinking coffee at Luna Station when the alarm started screaming. He dropped his cup and ran to the command center, where dozens of humans stared at screens showing the alien fleet. "How many ships?" Park Hyun asked his second-in-command, Lieutenant Colonel Bae Soo-jin. 10,000, sir. Maybe more. They're huge, much bigger than anything we've ever built." Her voice was steady, but her hands shook slightly as she pointed at the display. Park Hyun studied the formation of alien ships. They moved with purpose, spreading out around Earth like hunters surrounding prey. "Contact Dr. Song Minho immediately. Tell him we need Protocol 7 ready." Dr. Song Minho was working late in his underground laboratory when the call came. He looked up from his quantum equations, pushed his glasses up his nose, and answered the phone. "Doctor, this is Luna Command. We have visitors." Park Hyun's voice was calm but urgent. "I see them on the news feeds," Song Minho replied, looking at a wall screen showing the alien ships. "How long do we have?" "Unknown. They haven't made contact yet." Song Minho nodded and began typing commands into his computer. "I'll start the preparation sequence. Make sure President Lee knows we're ready." In Seoul, President Lee Da-eun watched the alien fleet through the windows of her office. Defense Minister Cho Jae-sung stood beside her, both of them silent as they counted the ships in the sky. "They probably think we're helpless," Lee Da-eun said quietly. "Let them think that," Cho Jae-sung replied. "It's better if they underestimate us." The alien communication came exactly 1 hour after their arrival. Every television, radio, and internet connection on Earth suddenly carried the same message. The voice was rough and mechanical, speaking broken human languages. "People of Earth, I am War Marshal Thekvar of the Valdari Empire. Your world is now property of our great civilization. You have 24 hours to surrender completely. Lay down all weapons. Stop all resistance. If you obey, some of you will live as slaves. If you fight, all of you will die. This is your only warning." The message repeated in dozens of languages while images of burning cities and destroyed fleets from other worlds filled the screens. The aliens wanted humans to see what happened to those who resisted the Empire. News anchor. Yang Soo-jin sat in her studio in Seoul, trying to stay calm as she read the latest reports. The alien fleet has positioned itself around all major cities. Military experts estimate their firepower could destroy our entire civilization in minutes. On the alien flagship, War Marshal Thekvar studied reports about Earth's defenses. The humans had simple rockets, basic satellites, and primitive nuclear weapons. Their most advanced ships couldn't even leave their solar system. "This will be easier than conquering the Jektar colonies," Thekvar told Admiral Kai Jun. "These humans are barely out of their caves. Their weapons are thousands of years behind ours. Should we just attack now?" Kai Jun asked. "Why give them 24 hours? The Empire wants to capture some humans for study. Also, watching them panic and beg for mercy is entertaining." Thekvar's laugh sounded like metal scraping against stone. Below on Earth, Dr. Song Minho was not panicking. He was very busy in his laboratory, making final adjustments to equipment that looked like ordinary computers and scientific instruments. His team worked alongside him: Dr. Choi Hyejin, Dr. Im Dong-sik, and Dr. Yu Soo-young. They moved with practiced efficiency, checking systems that had been years in the making. "Quantum field generators are at 98% readiness," Dr. Choi Hee-jin reported. "All hidden installations are responding perfectly." "Excellent," Song Minho replied. "The aliens have no idea what they're really looking at. Around the world, similar scenes played out in secret facilities hidden beneath universities, research centers, and technology companies. To any observer, these looked like ordinary buildings where humans studied science and developed simple technologies. The alien scans showed nothing unusual. Commander Park Hyun coordinated with teams across the globe from Luna Station. Major Won Ji-ho monitored the alien fleet's positions while Captain Nam Yu-jin prepared the recovery systems. Everything had to be perfect. "Sir, the aliens are moving into final attack positions," Lieutenant Colonel Bae Soo-jin reported. "They're targeting every major city on Earth." "Good," Park Hyun said calmly. "Let them get comfortable." Admiral Kim Tae-ho joined the command group via video link from the Pacific Fleet. "All human military units are ready to play their part. We'll look appropriately helpless when the time comes." The hours passed slowly as Earth waited. The alien ships hung in space like giant metal vultures, their weapons pointed at cities where millions of people lived and worked. Citizens around the world watched the sky, many praying, others making final phone calls to loved ones. The aliens monitored human communications and felt satisfied. The broadcasts were full of fear and desperation, exactly what they expected from a primitive species facing extinction. Some humans called for surrender, others for hopeless resistance. None of them seemed to understand the true power of the Valdari Empire. As the 24-hour deadline approached, War Marshal Tekvar prepared his final ultimatum. Admiral Kai-jun positioned the fleet's weapons for maximum destruction. Both aliens looked forward to adding Earth to their list of conquered worlds. They had no idea that humans had been expecting them for decades, preparing a welcome that would shock the entire galaxy. The most dangerous predators in the universe were about to learn why it was unwise to underestimate the species that had quietly mastered the fundamental forces of reality itself. The stage was set for humanity's greatest moment. The countdown timer on Luna Station showed 6 hours until the alien deadline. Commander Park Hyun walked through the corridors of the space station, checking on his team one final time. Everything looked normal, just humans in a simple orbital facility, trying to coordinate a desperate defense with primitive technology. The aliens watching from their massive ships saw exactly what Park Hyun wanted them to see. Their sensors detected basic computers, simple communication equipment, and outdated weapon systems. The humans appeared to be running around in panic, preparing for a battle they could never win. Deep beneath the surface of Earth, Dr. Song Min-ho descended into a facility that officially didn't exist. The elevator dropped down 30 floors below the Seoul National University campus, passing through layers of rock and steel, until it reached a vast underground complex. The hidden chamber stretched for kilometers in every direction, filled with equipment that looked nothing like the primitive technology the aliens expected. Massive quantum field generators hummed with barely contained energy, their crystalline cores pulsing with strange light. Banks of supercomputers calculated equations that manipulated the basic forces of reality. "Status report," Song Min-ho said as he entered the main control room. Dr. Choi Hye-jin looked up from her console. "All quantum resonance chambers are online. We have perfect synchronization with installations in New York, London, Tokyo, and Moscow. The field network covers the entire planet and extends into near-Earth space." "And the orbital platforms?" Song Min-ho asked. Dr. Im Dong-sik smiled. "The aliens think our satellites are simple communication devices. They have no idea they're looking at the most advanced quantum manipulation systems ever built." Above them, those satellites continued their apparently innocent orbits around Earth. To alien scanners, they appeared to be basic metal boxes sending primitive radio signals. In reality, each one contained technology that could alter the fundamental constants of physics within a specific area of space. The deception had taken decades to perfect. Humanity had discovered quantum field manipulation 40 years earlier, but kept it completely secret. Every breakthrough was hidden, every test was disguised, and every installation was built to look like something harmless and ordinary. Dr. Yu Soo-young monitored the alien fleet from her workstation. "They're maintaining standard battle formation. No signs they suspect anything unusual about our defensive preparations." War Marshal Tekvar stood on the bridge of his command ship, reviewing the final attack plan. His officers had identified every major human city and military installation. The bombardment would begin at precisely the moment of deadline expiration, leaving no time for last-minute negotiations or desperate counterattacks. Admiral Kaijun, prepare all plasma cannons and antimatter missiles, Thekvar ordered. I want this planet reduced to ash within 10 minutes of our first shot. Yes, War Marshal. All weapons are charged and ready. The humans won't even have time to realize they're under attack before they're all dead. The alien commander felt satisfied as he watched his fleet prepare for slaughter. 10,000 ships armed with weapons that had shattered entire civilizations. The humans had shown no signs of advanced technology during the day-long observation period. Their most powerful weapons were crude nuclear devices that couldn't even scratch a Valdari ship's shields. On Earth, President Lee Da-un met with her top advisors in a secure bunker beneath. Seoul Defense Minister Cho Jae-sung reviewed the final preparations while Admiral Kim Tae-ho coordinated with military units around the world. All conventional forces are in position, Admiral Kim reported. We'll provide a convincing show of traditional defense when the aliens attack. Fighter jets, missile batteries, and naval units are ready to engage and appear to be quickly overwhelmed. Perfect, President Lee said. The aliens must believe they're facing exactly the kind of resistance they expect from a primitive civilization. Lieutenant Colonel Bae Soo-jin joined the meeting via secure video link from Luna Station. Commander Park sends word that all orbital systems are ready. The quantum field generators are fully charged and waiting for activation signal. How long will the effect take to propagate through their entire fleet? Defense Minister Cho asked. Dr. Song estimates 90 seconds from initial activation to complete coverage, Bae Soo-jin replied. The aliens won't have time to understand what's happening, let alone respond effectively. Major Won Ji-ho monitored alien communications from his post at Luna Station. The Valdari were using standard military frequencies, making no effort to encrypt their transmissions. They saw no reason to hide their plans from the primitive humans they were about to destroy. They're discussing target priorities, Won Ji-ho reported to Commander Park. Primary bombardment will focus on population centers. They want maximum casualties to demonstrate Imperial power to any other species watching. Let them plan, Park replied calmly. In a few hours, the galaxy will see a demonstration of power they never expected. Captain Nam Yu-jin prepared the recovery systems that would salvage useful materials from the alien fleet after its destruction. The Valdari ships contained advanced technology that could benefit humanity, once their quantum fields were safely deactivated. Around the world, news broadcasts showed increasingly desperate scenes. Governments issued final statements, religious leaders held prayer services, and millions of people gathered with their families to face what seemed like certain death. The aliens monitoring these broadcasts felt even more confident. The humans were behaving exactly as expected, panicking, praying, and preparing for the end. None of their communications suggested any awareness of advanced defensive capabilities. Yang Soo-jin continued her news coverage from Seoul, her voice steady despite the circumstances. Military sources confirm that conventional defenses are in position around major cities. Fighter squadrons are ready to engage the alien fleet, though experts believe our weapons will have little effect against their advanced technology. In his underground laboratory, Dr. Song Min-ho made final adjustments to the quantum field parameters. The calculations had to be perfect. Too little power and the alien ships would survive. Too much and the effect might destabilize Earth's local spacetime. Field harmonics are locked in, Dr. Choi Hee-jin announced. All installations report ready status. We can initiate the cascade effect on your command. Dr. Im, what's the status on containment protocols? Song Min-ho asked. Quantum bubble generators are active around all population centers, Dr. Im Dong-sik replied. Earth's surface will remain in normal space-time throughout the engagement. Only the alien fleet will experience altered physics. The genius of the plan lay in its precision. The quantum fields would only affect specific areas of space around the alien ships, leaving Earth itself completely safe. The Valdari would find their own weapons and technology becoming unstable, while humanity remained protected. Dr. Yu Soo-young watched the countdown timer approach its final hour. All systems show green across the board. 47 years of development, and we're finally ready to test it under combat conditions. Commander Park Hyun received the final confirmation from Dr. Song's team. Everything was in position, every system was ready, and every person involved knew their role. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment. building the ultimate defensive system while appearing completely helpless to any outside observer. The aliens had chosen to attack the wrong species at the wrong time. They saw primitive technology and assumed primitive capabilities. They had no idea that humans had been quietly mastering forces that most civilizations never even discovered. War Marshal Thekvar gave his final orders as the deadline approached. Admiral Kaijun powered up the fleet's weapons systems. 10,000 ships prepared to rain destruction on the innocent-looking planet below. In 30 minutes, they would learn why it was dangerous to judge humanity by appearances alone. The final seconds ticked away on displays across both the alien fleet and human command centers. War Marshal Thekvar stood ready on his bridge, watching the countdown reach 0. At exactly the promised moment, he raised one of his 4 arms and spoke the words that would seal his fleet's fate. All ships, commence bombardment. Destroy the human infestation. Across the vast alien armada, weapons systems activated simultaneously. Plasma cannons that could melt through planetary crusts charged to full power. Antimatter missiles that had shattered moons locked onto their targets. Energy beams capable of boiling oceans focused on Earth's major cities. Admiral Kaijun watched his targeting screens with satisfaction as thousands of deadly projectiles launched toward the helpless planet. The humans will be extinct in 4 minutes, he announced to his crew. The alien weapons streaked through space at tremendous speeds, leaving trails of lethal energy behind them. Some moved at significant fractions of light speed. Others traveled through folded spacetime to reach their targets faster. All of them carried enough destructive power to eliminate human civilization completely. On Luna Station, Commander Park Hyun watched the alien attack begin through his sensors. The display showed thousands of incoming weapons racing toward Earth like a swarm of deadly meteors. Any normal civilization would be doomed. Now, Park Hyun said calmly into his communicator. Dr. Song Min-ho heard the single word in his underground command center and immediately pressed the master activation switch. Execute Protocol 7. All stations initiate quantum field cascade. Around the world and throughout Earth's orbital space, hidden installations came alive with impossible energies. Quantum field generators that had been disguised as ordinary buildings suddenly revealed their true purpose. The innocent-looking satellites orbiting Earth began manipulating reality itself. Dr. Choi Hye-jin watched her control screens as the cascade effect spread outward from Earth at light speed. Field propagation beginning. First wave reaching the alien formation in 3, 2, 1. The leading edge of the quantum field effect touched the Valdari fleet just as their weapons crossed the halfway point to Earth. What happened next defied everything the aliens understood about physics and warfare. The first sign of trouble appeared on Admiral Kaijun's bridge as his weapons officer reported impossible readings. Admiral, our plasma bolts are losing coherency. Energy levels are dropping rapidly. Impossible, Kaijun snarled. Those weapons are traveling through empty space. Nothing can interfere with them. But something was interfering. The quantum fields emanating from Earth were subtly altering the fundamental constants of physics within specific regions of space. Where electromagnetic force normally held plasma together, it now weakened randomly. Where matter and antimatter should have maintained stable containment, the strong nuclear force began fluctuating wildly. War Marshal Thekvar watched in growing horror as his unstoppable bombardment simply began to disappear. Plasma bolts that should have maintained perfect coherency for hours dissolved into harmless gas. Antimatter missiles exploded prematurely as their containment fields failed. Energy beams scattered and lost focus as the laws of physics became unreliable. What is happening? Thekvar demanded. Where are our weapons going? His science officer worked frantically at his console, trying to understand the readings. War Marshal, we are detecting massive fluctuations in local spacetime. The fundamental forces are becoming unstable throughout our formation. On Earth, Major Won Ji-ho monitored the alien fleet's confusion through intercepted communications. They're starting to panic. Their weapons are failing and they don't understand why. Dr. Im Dong-sik tracked the quantum field expansion from his station. Cascade effect at 30% coverage. Alien weapon systems showing total failure in affected areas. No projectiles are reaching Earth. The quantum field continued spreading through the alien formation like an invisible wave of chaos. Ships that had seemed invincible moments before now faced an enemy that attacked the very building blocks of reality. Captain Yexlor commanded, one of the outer destroyers, and was among the first to experience the full effect. His bridge crew watched in terror as their own ship began malfunctioning in ways that shouldn't be possible. "Captain, our hull plating is destabilizing," his engineer reported. "The molecular bonds are fluctuating. It's like the metal is forgetting how to be solid." "Impossible! Valdari steel has never failed." But fail it did. As the quantum field strengthened around his ship, the atomic forces that held matter together became unreliable. The destroyer's hull began to ripple and waver like liquid instead of solid metal. Commander Zulthak's heavy cruiser experienced different but equally catastrophic effects. His fusion reactors, which had powered the ship reliably for decades, suddenly became unstable as nuclear forces weakened. "Emergency shutdown of all reactors," Zulthak ordered. "Containment fields are failing, too late." The ship's power core exploded as nuclear reactions became uncontrollable, sending waves of destructive energy through the cruiser's interior. In seconds, one of the Empire's most powerful ships was reduced to expanding debris. Dr. Song Minho watched the destruction spread through the alien fleet from his command center deep beneath Seoul. Field coverage at 60%, alien formation integrity collapsing rapidly. Dr. Yu Su-young monitored the quantum cascade parameters. Effect holding steady. No signs of uncontrolled expansion. "The containment protocols are working perfectly." Lieutenant Colonel Bei Su-jin tracked individual alien ships as they succumbed to the impossible physics surrounding them. "We're seeing complete structural failure across their formation. Their technology can't adapt to the altered physical constants." The aliens had built their civilization assuming that certain fundamental laws would always remain constant. Gravity would always follow the inverse square law. Electromagnetic forces would always maintain specific ratios. Nuclear binding energies would always remain stable. Humanity's quantum field generators threw all those assumptions into chaos within carefully defined regions of space. The alien ships found themselves operating in areas where physics worked differently, and their technology simply couldn't cope. War Marshal Thekvar's flagship began experiencing its own problems as the field effect reached the center of the formation. Warning alarms screamed throughout the ship as basic systems failed one after another. "Engineering report," Thekvar demanded. "War Marshal, our gravity generators are fluctuating wildly. Life support is failing on multiple decks. The ship's structure is becoming unstable." Admiral Kaijun's ship suffered even worse damage. The quantum field had reached full strength around his position, and the effects were becoming catastrophic. "All hands abandon ship. The vessel is breaking apart." But there was nowhere to run. The escape pods launched into the same altered spacetime that was destroying the mothership. Within seconds, the small craft were torn apart by impossible forces. Commander Park Hyun watched the alien formation dissolve on his tactical display. "Dr. Song, how much longer until complete coverage?" 30 seconds, came the reply from the underground facility. "The cascade effect is accelerating as it encounters more alien matter. Their own ships are helping to spread the field." Captain Nam Yu-jin prepared the recovery systems as alien vessels throughout the formation began to break apart. "Sir, should we begin salvage operations?" "Not yet," Park Hyun replied. "Wait until the field effect fully stabilizes. We don't want our recovery teams exposed to unstable spacetime." The quantum cascade reached its final phase as the field covered the entire alien armada. 10,000 ships that had conquered 100 worlds found themselves trapped in regions where the basic rules of existence no longer applied reliably. Some vessels imploded as gravity became uncontrolled. Others simply dissolved as molecular bonds weakened beyond the point where solid matter could exist. A few tried desperately to escape, but their faster-than-light drives couldn't function in space where the speed of light itself was variable. Dr. Choi Hye-jin announced the completion of humanity's impossible victory. Full field coverage achieved. All alien vessels show critical system failures. The Valdari fleet is completely neutralized. In less than 2 minutes, the most powerful invasion force in galactic history had been reduced to expanding clouds of quantum foam. Not a single alien ship remained intact. Not a single weapon had reached Earth. The galaxy's greatest predators had just learned that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The quantum field effect spread through the Valdari fleet like a disease that infected reality itself. What had been the most powerful armada in galactic history was now a collection of dying ships trapped in regions where the fundamental laws of physics no longer worked properly. Admiral Kaijun's flagship, the massive dreadnought Conquest of Stars, shuddered violently as its hull began to phase in and out of normal spacetime. The ship had destroyed entire planets, but now it couldn't even maintain structural integrity. "Admiral, the quantum cascade is accelerating," his science officer screamed over the sound of tearing metal. "Our matter is becoming unstable at the subatomic level." Kaijun watched helplessly as his bridge crew began to dissolve. Their alien bodies, evolved under normal physical laws, couldn't maintain cellular coherence when electromagnetic forces fluctuated wildly. One by one, his officers simply came apart at the molecular level. "This is impossible," Kaijun whispered as his own three eyes began to blur. "We are the Valdari Empire. We have conquered 100 worlds. We cannot be defeated by primitives." But they were being defeated, and not by weapons or shields or any technology the Empire understood. They were being destroyed by an enemy that could rewrite the rules of existence itself. Captain Yexalor's destroyer was one of the first ships to completely disintegrate. The quantum field around his vessel had reached maximum strength, turning the space around him into a region where atoms couldn't hold together properly. "Captain, the hull is completely gone," his helmsman reported. "We're floating in open space, but somehow we're still alive." The observation was correct but temporary. The life support fields that should have protected the crew were also failing, as the technology they depended on became impossible to maintain. Within seconds, the entire crew joined their ship in dissolution. Commander Zulthak's heavy cruiser experienced a different but equally fatal malfunction. His ship's fusion reactors had exploded, but instead of normal nuclear destruction, the blast created a cascade of impossible energy that spread through the vessel like liquid fire. "Emergency evacuation," Zulthak ordered, but the escape pods were already non-functional. The quantum field had rendered their simple launching mechanisms as unreliable as everything else. Zulthak watched through his viewscreen as other ships throughout the fleet suffered similar fates. Some imploded under uncontrolled gravitational forces. Others expanded like balloons as their structural integrity failed. A few simply vanished as their matter transitioned into states that shouldn't exist. War Marshal Thekvar stood on his command bridge, trying to comprehend what was happening to his invincible fleet. The viewscreen showed nothing but expanding clouds of glowing particles where proud Valdari warships had been moments before. "Science officer, explain this," Thekvar demanded. "What weapon could do this to us?" The science officer was barely coherent, his alien mind struggling to process readings that contradicted everything he had learned about physics. "War Marshal, they are not using weapons as we understand them. They are somehow altering the fundamental constants of reality itself. That's impossible. No species has ever achieved such technology. Nevertheless, it is happening. Look at the readings. Electromagnetic force variance, gravitational fluctuation, nuclear binding energy instability. They are making the universe itself unstable around us." Thekvar felt something he had never experienced in decades of conquest. Genuine fear. The Valdari Empire had faced advanced civilizations before, races with powerful weapons and strong defenses. But this was something entirely different. The humans weren't fighting with technology, they were fighting with reality. On Earth, Dr. Song Min-ho monitored the destruction from his underground command center. The quantum field generators were performing exactly as designed, creating pockets of altered spacetime that made normal matter and energy unstable. "Field density holding at optimal levels," Dr. Choi Hai-jin reported. "Alien fleet destruction at 87% and rising." Dr. Im Dong-sik tracked the cascade progression. "The effect is self-reinforcing. As more alien matter destabilizes, it creates additional quantum fluctuations that accelerate the process." "Excellent," Song Min-ho replied. "The mathematical models predicted this. Their own ships are helping to destroy each other." Dr. Yu Su-young monitored the safety protocols. All Earth-based installations remain stable. The quantum field effect is perfectly contained within the target zone. From Luna Station, Commander Park Hyun watched the alien armada dissolve into glowing particles. Lieutenant Colonel Bae Soo-jin provided running commentary as ship after ship vanished from their sensors. "The remaining vessels are attempting to retreat," Bae Soo-jin observed, "but their faster-than-light drives aren't functioning in the altered spacetime." "Good," Park Hyun replied. "We can't let any survivors escape to warn the Empire about our true capabilities." Major Wang Jiho intercepted the aliens' increasingly desperate communications. They're sending distress calls to their homeworlds, but the quantum interference is scrambling their transmissions. No coherent signals are getting through. The few Valdari ships still marginally functional tried everything they could think of to escape the quantum field effect. Some attempted to power through with brute force, overloading their engines in desperate flight attempts. Others tried to collapse into emergency hibernation, hoping to ride out the effect in stasis. None of it worked. The quantum field had no interest in alien intentions or desperation. It simply continued to make the fundamental forces of physics unreliable within the affected area. Any technology that depended on consistent physical laws, which was all technology, became useless. Captain Nam Yu-jin prepared the salvage operations from her position on Luna Station. Sir, quantum field effects are beginning to stabilize. We should be able to send recovery teams into the debris field within the hour. Make it happen, Commander Park replied. I want analysis teams examining every piece of alien technology we can recover. This is our chance to learn about the Empire's capabilities. The final phase of destruction was almost peaceful. The last few Valdari ships simply faded away like shadows, their matter returning to the quantum foam from which all things ultimately came. Where 10,000 proud warships had floated in formation, only empty space remained, filled with gradually dispersing clouds of exotic particles. War Marshal Thekvar experienced his final moments aboard a command ship that no longer existed in any meaningful sense. His bridge had become a space where up and down were arbitrary concepts, where his instruments showed readings that couldn't be real. The humans, he whispered as his consciousness began to fade. They are not primitives. They are something far more dangerous. Those were the last coherent thoughts of the Valdari Empire's greatest military commander. Within seconds, both he and his ship had joined the expanding particle clouds that marked the grave of the invasion fleet. Admiral Kaijun's end came even more quickly. His flagship had been at the center of the formation when the quantum cascade reached maximum effect. One moment he was standing on his bridge, the next he was a brief pattern of energy, dispersing into the cosmic background radiation. Dr. Song, Minho announced the completion of the impossible, victory from his command center deep beneath Seoul. All alien vessels destroyed. Quantum field effect holding steady. Total engagement time, 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Commander Park Hyun felt a moment of satisfaction as he looked at the empty space where humanity's would-be conquerors had been. All stations begin post-battle protocols. I want a complete analysis of everything that just happened. The Valdari Empire had sent their finest fleet to add Earth to their collection of conquered worlds. Instead, they had just learned that some species were far more dangerous than they appeared. The 10,000 ships that had arrived to enslave humanity were now nothing more than quantum foam drifting through empty space. Not a single human had been harmed. Not a single alien had survived. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity was not the primitive civilization it pretended to be. The space around Earth was quiet now, filled only with slowly expanding clouds of quantum particles where the Valdari fleet had been. The silence felt strange after the brief but intense destruction of 10,000 alien warships. Commander Park Hyun stood at the observation deck of Luna Station, looking out at the debris field that had once been the galaxy's most feared invasion force. Sir, we're receiving communication requests from 17 different alien civilizations, Lieutenant Colonel Bae Soo-jin reported. They all watched the battle through long-range sensors. I bet they did, Park Hyun replied quietly. What kind of messages are they sending? Diplomatic contact requests, sir. No more invasion threats. They want to talk, not fight. On Earth, President Lee Da-yoon prepared to address not just her own planet, but the galaxy that had just witnessed humanity's true capabilities. She stood in her office in Seoul, looking out at citizens who were celebrating in the streets below. They knew their world was safe, but few understood how completely the balance of galactic power had just shifted. Defense Minister Cho Jae-sung joined her at the window. The alien debris field is already being analyzed by our recovery teams. Dr. Song says the quantum foam contains traces of technologies we've never seen before. Good, President Lee replied. We need to understand what the Empire was capable of, and more importantly, what other threats might be out there. Dr. Song Min-ho emerged from his underground laboratory for the first time in weeks. blinking in the sole sunlight. The quantum field generators were now in standby mode, ready to activate again if needed. His team had proven that humanity could defend itself against any conventional threat, but the victory raised new questions. Dr. Choi Hee-jin walked beside him as they made their way to the presidential briefing. The mathematical models suggest we could extend the quantum field effect across interstellar distances, she said. If the Empire sends revenge fleets from their homeworlds, we could neutralize them before they even reach our solar system. That's the next phase of the project, Song Min-ho agreed. But first we need to understand the political implications of what we just did. Admiral Kim Tae-ho was coordinating the response from Naval Headquarters. Human ships that had been preparing for desperate last stands were now organizing salvage operations in the debris field. The recovered alien technology would advance human science by decades, maybe centuries. Captain Nam, what's the status on recovery operations? Admiral Kim asked over the communication link. Captain Nam Yoo-jin's voice came through clearly from the salvage ship working in the debris field. We've recovered fragments from 47 different ship classes, sir. The alien technology is incredibly advanced, but it all depends on stable physical constants. That's why our quantum fields were so effective. The recovery operations revealed fascinating details about Valdari civilization. Their ships had been built by a species that had mastered conventional physics, but never imagined that the fundamental forces could be manipulated. Every system, from life support to weapons, assumed that gravity, electromagnetism, and nuclear forces would remain constant. Major Won Ji-ho monitored alien communications from his post at Luna Station. The galaxy was buzzing with activity as various civilizations tried to understand what had happened to the supposedly invincible Valdari fleet. Sir, we're intercepting communications between the Zephyrian Republic and the Altair Confederation, Won Ji-ho reported. They're discussing forming a diplomatic alliance with Earth. Smart of them, Commander Park replied. Anyone with sense is going to want humanity as a friend rather than an enemy. News anchor Yang Soo-jin broadcast the story that would change galactic history. This is Yang Soo-jin with breaking news from Earth. The Valdari invasion fleet has been completely destroyed in what military experts are calling the shortest battle in recorded history. Not a single alien ship survived, and no human casualties have been reported. The broadcast reached alien civilizations across nearby star systems within hours. Species that had lived in fear of Valdari conquest for generations suddenly saw a new hope. Humanity had accomplished what their combined fleets could never do: the complete annihilation of an Imperial Armada. Dr. Im Dong-sik worked with his team to analyze the quantum effects on alien biology. The results were disturbing but important. The Valdari evolved under normal physical laws, he explained to the research group. When we altered the fundamental constants, their cellular structure simply couldn't adapt. They literally dissolved at the molecular level. Dr. Yu Soo-young studied the implications for future conflicts. Any carbon-based life form would suffer similar effects. The quantum field disruption is universally lethal to conventional biology. President Lee Da-yoon's address to the galaxy was broadcast on every frequency humanity could access. She spoke calmly and clearly, her words carrying across space to species that had thought humans were primitive and helpless. To all civilizations listening to this message, I am Lee Da-yoon, President of Earth. Today, humanity defended itself against unprovoked aggression by the Valdari Empire. We did not seek this conflict, but we were prepared for it. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in across the galaxy. Let this be a lesson to any who would threaten peaceful worlds. Earth is not defenseless and humanity is not primitive. We have capabilities that go beyond conventional warfare. We can rewrite the laws of physics themselves within specific areas of space. The message continued with an offer of friendship to peaceful civilizations and a warning to potential aggressors. Humanity was revealing itself as a species that preferred diplomacy, but possessed the ultimate defensive capability. Dr. Song Min-ho appeared at a press conference, explaining the basics of quantum field manipulation to a galaxy that was struggling to understand what they had witnessed. We have learned to adjust the fundamental constants of reality within controlled regions, he said simply. Any technology that depends on stable physical laws becomes unreliable in these areas. The implications were staggering. Humanity could defend not just Earth, but any world they chose to protect. They could project quantum fields across interstellar distances, creating zones where conventional physics became unreliable. Any aggressive civilization would find their weapons and ships useless within these altered regions. Commander Park Hyun received reports from across the solar system as human teams secured the debris field. Sir, we've identified the locations of 17 Valdari colony worlds from their navigation records. The Empire is much larger than we thought. Good intelligence, Park replied. Pass that information to President Lee and Dr. Song. If the Empire tries to retaliate, we'll need to know where their fleets are coming from. Captain Nam Yu-jin's salvage teams made an interesting discovery among the wreckage. Commander, we found intact data cores from 3 different alien ships. The quantum field destroyed their hulls but left some information storage intact. The recovered data revealed the true scope of the Valdari Empire. Hundreds of conquered worlds, thousands of enslaved species, and a military force that numbered in the millions of ships. Earth had just defeated a single invasion fleet, but the Empire itself remained largely intact. Admiral Kim Tae-ho studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. They'll be back, he told his staff. The Empire won't accept the loss of an entire fleet without response. But humanity was ready for that response. Dr. Choi Hye-jin had already begun calculations for interstellar quantum field projection. The next time Valdari ships approached human space, they would find their weapons useless long before they could threaten Earth. President Lee concluded her galactic address with words that would be remembered across the galaxy for generations. Humanity seeks peace with all civilizations. We will share our knowledge with species that approach us in friendship, but to those who threaten the innocent, remember what happened here today. Earth is protected by forces beyond your understanding. The Valdari Empire had learned that lesson in the most final way possible. Their invasion fleet was now nothing more than quantum foam drifting through empty space. The species they had expected to enslave had instead demonstrated mastery over reality itself. Other civilizations were already reconsidering their assumptions about the small blue planet in an unremarkable star system. Humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in the most dramatic way possible, by completely annihilating the greatest threat the galaxy had known. The age of human isolation was over. The age of humanity as a galactic power had begun. And in the depths of space on distant Valdari worlds, Imperial commanders stared at empty communication channels and wondered what force could completely destroy 10,000 ships without leaving a single survivor to report what had happened. They would learn soon enough that humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined.